What will happen if we use olive oil alongside our resin in some resin art? It's a very interesting effect. That's incredible. Wow. Right, we are back with another resin art experiment. Oh. That's a funny start. Yeah, we're back with another resin art experiment. I want to see today what will happen if we use olive oil. I think it's just like a cooking oil, isn't it? It's normally used in salads and dressings and stuff. What will happen if we use this alongside our resin in some resin art? So 4 years ago in video 11, it's a very long time ago, hard to watch, you would have seen I did an experiment with silicone oil. Other people have done this as well, but I want to see what kind of a difference we get with olive oil. I don't know if it's going to do anything at all, but let's try. Let's get mixing. So we are using the Let's Resin Daniel Cooper Collab 1-1 resin for this, best for the Petri effect. And we are also going to be using the Mega 48 piece alcohol ink set from Let's Resin. But if you remember from a couple of videos ago, I'm not using the Sinker White that comes in this box because there are issues with it. I have let Let's Resin know, they are looking into it, but it's just too heavy. So I'm going back to the old school twin set, these big bottles with the C deeper, which I can trust. And I've just poured mine into one of these 10mm precision bottles with a little ball bearing in there. So I'm not using that sinker from that set, but I am using the colours. So I've already picked out some that we're going to try. It is just an experiment. Colours don't have to be specific. I just want to see how it reacts with the colours in the resin. Okay, so my resin is now mixed and poured. Literally just poured it. I waited 5 minutes for the bubbles to rise, popped those with a long nose lighter. Now I'm going to kind of go into a fast forward of me dropping my alcohol inks in the resin and the sinker, and then we are going to experiment. Okay, so now time for the sinker. Again, really shake this up to make sure that it's fully mixed, otherwise you're going to end up with some issues, blobbing and stuff. Okay, so I'm now just going to let those sit for maybe another 5 minutes just to see how they settle down before we move on. Whilst we are waiting, I'm going to just put a small amount of the oil into a small cup. Really won't need much of this, I don't think. I don't want to be dipping my needle or pin into the bottle and then contaminating the bottle. So yeah, just in a small cup. I'm also just going to show you again, just as a reminder, what the silicone oil does. So I'm going to put a few drops into another cup and then keep them separated so I know which one's which. Okay, so it's been about 5 minutes. As always, massive shout out to my channel members, anyone who's bought me a coffee or a super thanks, and to all our subscribers. If you haven't subbed, hit that button for me, help support the channel. So this is the olive oil. So what I'm going to do, I think I'm going to do, well, we don't know because I want to see how it reacts first. So I think I'll do one of these, for instance, with olive oil. I think I'll do this one with olive oil on the left and then this one on the right with the silicone oil. Now, how I did this before with the silicone oil 4 years ago is I just dipped the pin into the oil and kind of wiped off any excess. So it's very focused. You can't even see it. It's like a very thin coat. And I just entered that in and stirred it. I'm not really seeing any kind of, what the silicone oil did before is it really pushed out the colours. I'm not seeing that with the olive oil. I'll try the one above, but I'm going to put more. I'm not going to wipe off the excess. think it's just sitting on the surface. I don't think it's actually doing anything. You can see some, look here. It's doing something there. It's not really doing what the silicone oil does. So, I'm going to take my silicone oil now and again just coating the pin. Hopefully we'll see a bigger difference. It's been a while since I've done this. You can see it's really separating a lot more. And then once I've done all these, we'll still come back in about an hour to do our normal stir. I'm disappointed actually that the oil's not really doing anything. Okay, I've really coated the pin with the olive oil this time. And that's better, but it's only really better where the larger amount entered the resin first. It's not really done much up here as I've drawn the pin through. I kind of mixed it up though, because I should have done that one with the olive oil. You're going to have to remember this, guys, because I'm going to forget which ones are which. So with this row here, I'm going to stick with the silicone oil, so I know that those ones are definitely the silicone oil. I've poured some more olive oil in here, and I'm going to use a wooden stick instead, hoping that the oil kind of clings to the stick, distributes into the resin a bit better. Who knows? Because I don't. You can see, let me get you closer. You see, that's definitely helped. But what's going to happen is, as the resin cures, these little pockets of oil they're not going to dry, they're just going to sit there, so they'll need cleaning off afterwards. But it's a very interesting effect. So I'm really liking this now. Now I've turned to the wooden stick and kind of really piled on, coated the stick. You'll see where I've dragged it, it's creating these really crazy negative areas in the resin, which is very different to the silicone oil, because, sorry, my mask's riding up my face again. Silicone oil really pushes the colours out in a very, very different way. I think it'll be easy for me to tell which ones are which. Silicone oil, silicone oil, silicone oil, silicone oil. And the rest are just, I might go in this one a bit more because there's not much there, is there? So hopefully that should, you can see some more cells kind of appearing, but I just wish I'd gone in with more the first time. But it's very fractal looking, some of them. So what I'm going to do now is just wait around about an hour to come in and just I might not stir them all because some of these have got really nice patterns. I might have to keep some just to see how they look, but I'm going to stir some in about an hour when the resin's thickened up. It hasn't been an hour, but I remembered something I did in the older video. I went in after adding the silicone oils to add some more colour. I'm not going to do that with all of them though. I'm just going to see on this one and then add some more sinker to that red, because there is quite a bit of negative space in there. Just see how that one turns out. Okay, so it's been about an hour and I have had a little poke. This one here, I just drew the oil kind of through and then lifted it up to see what would happen. And luckily it kind of went back to a round blob. I'll show you. I mean, you can see it's kind of reforming back into that round area. So I'm hoping that if I just kind of follow a similar stir to what I did when I added the oil, hoping they'll reform some kind of round windows. I don't know. Again, I'm not going to stir them all. But with the silicone oil ones, I'm definitely going to stir these. See, the resin is really nice and thick, which will drag those, the sinker white effect a little bit more in the resin. I think that's it. So I've left this one, this one, this one, and the two hearts. Ooh, do I do the two hearts and just leave these, because I'm not sure how they're gonna be without that kind of pulling of the inks that we normally get. Or did I stir that one? I can't remember. Doesn't look like it. I think I'm gonna go in with the hearts. It's really tricky to remember the stir that I'd done before to try and keep that kind of colour formation in place, but it's pretty much impossible. And then I think I'll just do this one. I think I went this way. Doesn't really matter. I just want to see how they turn out. So some of the cells are starting to reform with the ones that I have stirred, which is good. You see this heart up here. I didn't really want to swirl that one, but something told me to do it. So now we're just going to wait for these to cure, and we'll see what we've got. Or do I add a black background? Oh. Now you've seen me play around with black backgrounds quite a bit before. I kind of went for a little bit of a phase where I was hooked on doing it. I'm not going to go too crazy. I'm going to go. So this is just my black alcohol ink, again from that electric resin set. I don't know how this is going to work with the oil in there though. We shall see. I really want to see how it reacts with these little windows, these spots of oil that we've got. So I think I'll do this one. See, it kind of hits the oil and wants to avoid it. I don't know whether the oil's going to float above the inks. I really don't know. And I think I'd do this heart here, this one was the silicone oil. Let's see how this one turns out. And when you're adding these black backgrounds of the alcohol ink, again, it's important to wait for a certain amount of time. Otherwise, when you add that black, it's just going to really muddy up all the colours. So by this stage of like an hour, the alcohol content has evaporated, leaving just the colours on the surface. So when we add our black, it's not really interfering with the patterns. It's only going to show through kind of the negative space areas, and the colour will remain because the sinker white has also pushed most of that colour down. I think that will do. I'm predicting some issues with the black ink on top of the oil because the oil's not going to dry. So I'm predicting that some of the alcohol ink's also not going to dry, but we'll see. Now it's just a waiting game. I've got to do these two, sorry. I've got to. I could ruin the whole batch, but I don't care. It's done now. Okay, these are all cured. So thinking about it last night when I went home, what I think I should have done is not use the black alcohol ink. Because I did look at them before I went, and you can see the oil kind of rose above and still created those windows anyway. So I think what I should have done is waited for them to cure, clean off the oil, because you'll see, like I said, little pockets of oil. See that? Left over. So yeah, I should have done it that way, cleaned it all off and then backed with a black, but it's done now. So I'm going to get a bit of tissue because obviously I don't really want this oil to go inside my mould. So I'm going to take them out and then kind of lay them on the tissue so that we can see. You can see that scattering effect. That is incredible. Look at that. But as always, give the video a thumbs up, drop me a comment if you haven't subbed. Again, it's free. Hit that button for me. That is phenomenal. Look at that. And that was with the olive oil. So it's still given a very, very similar effect to what the silicone oil does. I'm glad none of the oil sunk and kind of gave us issues. Yeah, what I'll probably do is label this mold for oil only. I don't know what baby oil would do. Wow. I don't know now. I think adding the black might have been a good idea. We've still got those windows. Look at that. Is that flames coming off? That is phenomenal. This is why I love using the black alcohol ink as backing. It really does pop the colours. Let's go with the two small hearts. We'll do them at the same time. Look, you can see that oil on my fingers. Definitely a piece of tissue is needed. So we've got some issues around the edges. That one is so colourful. I'm not too fond of that black one, if I'm honest. There's quite a bit of negative space, but it is still nice. I definitely prefer this one. So what's happened is the oil has probably pushed the sinker to the sides, creating those almost blobs. Look at that. Put the black one down. That is really nice. Little bubble there. The oil is now on the front. That's super colourful. It's looking good. Now this one here was the silicone oil, and then I went on afterwards, if you remember. Can't really see any on the back of this one, like the olive oil. I'm not really seeing a bubble there, look. I'm not really seeing much of an effect there. Possibly because I dropped the ink on afterwards again. But it's very kind of volcanic, isn't it? In a way. Not so much peachy going on there though. Let's go with this one here, which is also silicone oil. This one I didn't back. Wow. That area there, that really dark area. Again, there's not so much peachy going on. You can see some. That's incredible. See that tiny little, let me try and zoom in. It's like a little planet in the middle of a, like a galaxy or something. That's incredible. You've got those ribbons from the star as well, like ghostly ribbons of colour. That is incredible. Loving that one. Let's go with the olive oil heart. And you've got those pockets there. Wow. I tell you what, I'm glad I went back with the original CD puff from the big bottles, because we were having issues for quite some time with the other ones and a few others that I've tried. But look at the colours. Got some deeper areas up here, bigger spores, but none of it has touched. That is probably one of my favourite pieces for quite some time. That is stunning. Let's go with these small round ones down here. And these were both, oh, the colours are so vibrant. the black was a bad idea, I think, this time. Look at that compared to that. So vibrant. Again, this ink set, the new ink set, the colours are phenomenal. So subtle with the Petri effect in there as well. You can see how, just to me, I mean, it makes a difference. Oils make a difference because you do get this very, very different kind of scattered effect in areas. That's something else. I'm loving this blue. Now it was a mix between the sapphire blue and I believe it was the, what was the other blue? I think it was cerulean. I can't remember now. I really can't remember. Again, it wasn't so much about the colour placements, it was more about the effect. That's something else. Okay, I'm going to keep it zoomed in. We're going to go up to this one. This one I didn't stir. Again with the olive oil in the resin. My fingers are all slippery. Let's see what it looked like without the stir. I'll tell you what, that's incredible. Even without the stir. I've never seen anything like that. It's like, you see those like tiny individual areas of colour and the spores. So you've got the blues mixed with the rose, got some red. It's almost like some kind of stone that's been dug up. I really, really like that. I mean, I really like that. Imagine that on a pendant or a bangle. Look at that oil coming off. Doesn't take much to clean that off though. That's something else. Loving the bands as well. It's got like bands of colour. Wow. Right, let's go with these two small ovals. So I wonder if like baby oil or other types of oils, they should work. Yeah, no, don't like that. Very similar to the other ones. So don't always do it, Dan. Don't keep doing it. But this one, very fiery. It's not my usual. I don't overly like it, but it's different. There are really different effects there as well. Like tunnels. But they're not touching and haven't sunk. Very fiery. Okay, I'm not looking forward to this one. And I'm also now not looking forward to these after we've seen the others. I'm quite nervous. We'll go with this one. This one was a silicone oil. Wow. I'll take that back. We've lost some of the colour, but I think it works. It's got like a symmetry style. It's got balance to it, and that kick of the swirl at the bottom really finishes that one off. Not thinking too much of these moulds. They're brand new. Look at that. We'll have to use the buffing wheel when they're fully cured. That is incredible. Some muddying going on there, but I don't think it matters. What a piece. I'm leaving the ovals till last. Sorry for the wobble of the camera. This one again was just no backing, and this was again with the olive oil. Look at the colours. Not seeing much of a difference with the oil in this one. See some scattering. It's nice, but I don't think it's as good as the others. See a little group of people down there. Yeah, it's nice. It's got some nice earthly vibes to it as well, like a planet. Oh, I'm really nervous for this part. Which one do I go for first? Let's go with the silicone oil in resin. You can see it, that oil. The difference is with the silicone oil in the resin, it doesn't really leave pockets like it does with the other oil. Wow. That works. I mean, it's going to be hit and miss, isn't it? Look at this blend of colours here. Again, it's got an almost like galaxy. I don't know, I'm seeing so much in this. What are you seeing? It's like, how can I explain it? It's like a multiverse that's kind of flashing areas of different... I can't explain it. I can't explain it. That is absolutely phenomenal. See there, I'm seeing like a tree with like a colourful background maybe, and some flower fields. My brain's going overtime. And like, I don't know, everything's gone all weird with time, and it's kind of wisped around in a weird way, and you've got maybe a comet flying through there. I don't know, I'm seeing so much. Wow. Okay. Don't know if I'll ever be able to beat that. That is something. Did we get anything decent with the olive oil? I've said olive oil so many times, I think the algorithms might send this video out, push this video out to cooking channels instead of resin. Resin art, resin art, resin art. Let's try and trick the algorithms back. But definitely give this a share, guys. Give this a share. And I hope you've watched the video the whole way through, as always, to help. Oh, that's different. That's very, very different. I'm not sure. Not sure what to think of that. What I'm liking about it is the individual areas of colour. With this one, I regret putting the black on, but you don't know, do you? Because you could end up with something as good as this. You just don't know. Side by side, I'm starting to like this one. Now seeing this one again, whoops, dropped it. It's just very different, isn't it? It's very busy. You've got a fire down there. It's a nice blue. Got the cerulean. Yeah, I don't know. Shame about this mould. That is a wicked experiment. But which ones are my favourites? Which ones are yours? It's just a shame this one wasn't as vibrant. I'm not saying I don't like it, but it's not in my favourites. I think these ones. Oh, and I think I have to pick the square, the first square. Yeah, very kind of mixed results. I'm loving this. Absolutely loving this. I might have to do a whole batch like this and see what happens. Is that a pocket there of oil? I think it is. It's quite heavy. It's left tiny little hollowed bubble. Yeah, that's phenomenal. Right, okay, I hope you enjoyed that one. I will see you for the next one. Bye for now.